What job would you have liked him to do?
What I would have liked him to do was get a proper job, actually, but still.
Welcome to In the Common Room With, a show brought to you by Word on the Curb and the Open University. We'll be bringing together some of your favourite content creators and personalities who'll be discussing balancing creative careers alongside education and learning, as well as finding out who went to uni and who didn't.
I hate the phrase, have a backup.
You and me both, babe, sorry.
There you go.
That's already going to start an argument.
Don't even, bruh.
Each episode, they'll be joined by their family or friends, so we'll see what role they played in their journey and get a unique glimpse into their lives. So who knows what we'll find out.
Hey guys, it's Henrie, and today I am in the common room with a guy that you'll know from a very, very, very big dating show, wink. It is Naz and his mum, Laila.
Woo! That is that's the $1 million question. Being a part of the creative industry, it is polar opposite to what I was used to. It would have been nice, you know, having the option to do the lectures in and around football.
Are you and Eva still an item?
We are going...
I want to start with a little icebreaker, yeah? So we're going to play a game of Never Have I Ever. Played it before? I know you have.
No.
You've never played it
Never heard of that.
Okay. It's pretty simple. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and if you have, just say that I have, and if you haven't, say I haven't. Question number 1. Never have I ever lived in 2 or more countries.
You have, Mum.
Oh, yes, I have.
You weren't even born here, Mum. What do you mean?
And Laila, you are from Guyana, yes?
I'm from Guyana, yeah.
I love it. And so you moved from Guyana
To England, yes.
Okay, we're going to be talking about that very soon. Never have I ever used mine or my son's fame to get things for free. What did you get for free, Laila?
Oh, I got a free cruise, actually.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
you did. Oh, yeah.
That's serious.
Yes.
I was just thinking of the meal we had.
Yes.
Okay, never have I ever cancelled plans with a fake reason.
Oh, Mum, don't even think about it. That's your personality.
Laila, what reasons are you giving for not going out?
None.
No, you're just not there.
I'm not going, I ain't going.
I hear it. Never have I ever blamed something on another family member.
What are you looking at me like that for?
Mum, you blamed Dad. You blame everyone else. But like any time anything goes wrong in the house, you will blame.
When did I do that?
What, like even this morning, for example?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what it is? I believe Mum, no cap. Mum's never wrong.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? Actually, you're right, Mum. You're right.
And lastly from me, never have I ever borrowed something without a parent knowing. Okay.
Oh, Mum.
Naz, do you want to change your
Me? No, I'm all right, thanks. That £50 that went missing definitely wasn't me.
No, you said I could have it.
so
I just took it.
What did you borrow?
I did. I borrowed £20 off
And you
him.
just never saw it again?
And you borrow all of my clothes as well. She loves my oversized hoodies.
That's true.
She loves all of my cozy
true.
stuff.
That
What's
is
the point
true.
in having a son if you can't wear his clothes?
I know, yeah, you do.
I know.
You do wear it pretty
brings
well.
me closer to you. So.
Oh, that was a good answer. That was a good answer. Yes, guys, it's Naz Majid here. I'm in the common room with Word on the Curb and the Open University, and I'm joined by my lovely mother.
Layla, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
You heard it here first.
So, Naz, growing up in South London and having Pakistani and Guyanese parents, what was that whole experience like for you?
I think, firstly, my parents have been so supportive of absolutely anything and everything that I've wanted to do. You know, growing up, me and my sister, we didn't have much, but we had everything that we ever wanted. We were always loved. I think the fact that my parents were, as you said, from Pakistan and Guyana, they already broke the mould to a certain extent. So my household wasn't that strict, and it was always, you know, just encouraging whatever we want to do, just always an open and honest conversation.
Incredible. And even for you, Laila, growing up in Guyana, you moved over to England.
Yes, yes.
What was like the biggest shock, I guess, as you came over here, especially in cultural differences?
Well, the biggest shock for me was when I first came, it was myself and my other sister, Marlene, the rain. And we thought, what's going on here? You know, we thought and even snow, we saw it for the very first time. I thought the world was going to end. We just wanted to go run back home.
Yeah,
because we'd never come across any of these weather patterns before.
Yeah, because you were only 6 years old,
weren't you? I
weren't
was only
you?
6 years old,
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was the first time that I'd actually met my parents, because obviously I was left with my aunt relatives at the age of 1 until I came over to England when I was going on 7 years old. So that was the first time I'd met my parents.
What was it like in Guyana?
Life in Guyana was very simple, very, very simple, because, you know, we had so much space to move around, and, you know, we were walking with crocodiles. Can you believe it?
Crocodiles?
Yeah, we were walking with crocodiles. We had a farm, and, you know, we met the most amazing animals there, and often I talk about it to, you know, the children in my class, and it was just a wonderful experience growing up over there, because we were free. You know, we were so involved in planting, fruits and everything. We lived off the land.
Yeah.
You cultivated everything. We did everything by ourselves. There was no reason to go, you know, to the market for anything, because we had it there.
Yeah. I'm packing up and going to Guyana right now.
It was absolutely
For real.
beautiful. It was a surreal experience when you look back at what we had, and I'm kind of blessed in a way that I was the last one to be born back home, because these are beautiful memories that I have. I kind of think, had I not had the experiences that I had back home, I don't think I would have been the kind of person I am today.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask as well, Naz. Like, what was your, like, family dynamic growing up? Because obviously Mum's spoken about being in Guyana, having everybody there. But obviously now we're, like, coming into first-generation British children. It kind of seems like it's just us a little bit, us and parents and maybe some aunties and uncles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for our family, we've always been massive on, you know, being family oriented, you know, no matter what the occasion was, whether it was your birthday, whether your tooth fell out, like, we would celebrate it. We'd have a barbecue, we'd have
Not a barbecue for the tooth.
You'd be surprised, we celebrate anything, any small success. So yeah, we were very much so just brought up on, you know, having family around you and extended family. There'll be aunties and uncles that you don't even know who they are, but they just happen to be at, you know, these gatherings as well. So we've always grown up. Like, my immediate family is so close-knit. I've got an older sister, she's 1.5 years older than me, and we are, like, joined at the hip. She's my best friend, honestly.
Yeah.
And even, like, the extended family as well. Like, as my mum said, she has 5 siblings, and they've all got, how many cousins do I have? Like 20?
Yeah, about.
And that's just on my mum's side. And on my dad's side, it's like, it's the same as well. So we used to just have these massive
Huge
family occasions. But kind of touching on what my mum said, it's so surreal to me that, you know, my dad grew up in a village in Pakistan, and my mum grew up in a village as well, and, like, surrounded by alligators and things like that. So to me, it's like, you know, growing up in South London, you're never going to come across an alligator or anything like that. I mean, different forms of alligators. So it's just so surreal to me that my parents have gone through that, and the fact that, you know, they've allowed me to do what I want, and, you know, it's led on to, you know, the career I'm in now is very surreal to me.
So, Laila, what was Naz like as a child?
Oh, dear.
Give us the real, babe.
Be nice as well, because I'm dropping you back to South London.
No, he was very bright, very, very bright, even from a very young age, because, you know, he was always playing sports and everything, and your dad was always involved in that sport aspect. But when it came to school, well, that was a different matter, because parents' evening, you got teachers saying, you know, Mrs. Majid, gosh, Nassim, he's just such a bright boy. He's so bright. And I thought, oh, God, I feel a butt coming. And but he chats so much. He never gets on with his work. He never finishes his work.
You and me both, babe. Sorry.
There you go. You know what? I'm so glad
me.
that you're my ally in this. I thought this was going to go.
I'm so sorry. They used to call me a parrot because I still never
really?
stopped speaking. And what was it like having a teacher for a mum?
So my mum's she was a primary school teacher for, what, 25 plus years?
Yeah, 25 plus
so
years.
Education was always kind of instilled in me, and it's almost like I have no excuse to not do the work, because, I mean, if I don't do it at school, then my mum would kind of badger me and say, right, you need to do this as well. She actually taught me a couple of times as well. So she came into my primary school. What did you teach us? French?
Yeah, it was.
Did you ever call her mum in class?
I think I did. You're a bit of a celebrity. I don't know why they're like, oh, Nassim's mum was teaching us. And I was like, yeah, that's my mum, that's my mum.
Well, he didn't realise, I mean, obviously they knew I was a teacher and everything, but to see me in practice, obviously they'd never seen me do that before in the classroom. And I remember this particular day that the head teacher of his school called me up because we were very close. I mean, I knew all the head teachers and so on, and so I've known him for many, many years. So he was stuck, so he asked me, can you come in? I thought, oh God, here we go. So what am I teaching today? He said, would you mind teaching French? So luckily I had the book of the 100 first words that you'd learn in French. So I took this along, and the first class was Nassim's, and I thought, oh crikey, what have I done? And it was just so beautiful because at the end of the school day, I was waiting outside in the playground, and Nassim just literally came running, charging like a bull. And he just threw his arms around me and said, Mom, I'm just so proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of you. And it was that experience when he was in year 5 that he got better. He did all his work. And he really got amazing results.
What even made you want to get into football in the first place?
It was actually the 2002 World Cup. I remember in primary school, I must have been in like year 1. And that was the only time where you wouldn't actually have to be in school. Or they bring out, you know, them little TVs.
I remember,
old school TVs.
Yeah.
So they
I remember Nigeria versus England.
Yeah.
Well, when was that?
Nigeria lost. I was like in year 1 or something, and they like rolled out the TV as well. But I think I remember.
So I thought, oh wow, like this is such a big thing that you know, the fact that we're stopping our learning to be watching this particular sport. And I thought, you know what, like I'd actually quite like to get involved in that.
Of course.
And my dad just literally took me down to our local common. I think it was like Streatham or Tooting Common, and it literally just snowballed from there. Within like 3 months, I was at a professional club, and I was just in and out of professional football clubs up until the age of 19. So I came to a crossroads where my parents were like, right, you've got your education, you've got your GCSEs, we're happy for you to pursue football if that's what you want to do. And it's like you have to kind of sacrifice the A-levels to do BTEC sports for 2 years. But also if you've done well enough, which I did, I got triple distinction, then I could go to university. So throughout college, obviously football was the dream. Didn't quite make it. Took a year off to try again just to play football, see how it went for me. Eventually decided that due to injuries that I wasn't going to quite make it. So decided to go to university, which I think my parents were very happy with as well. I think it was a very organic decision to make. I feel like had I gone straight off the back of college, I would have just thought to myself, what if? You know, what if? And my parents were very supportive.
So you spoke a bit about like having an injury and then I guess having to like leave football because of it. What kind of toll did that take on your mental health? Because we hear about it, but I guess first-hand experience, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I think I was very fortunate in the sense that I did have the backup plan, I did have education, I always had that. And, you know, in hindsight, I'm very grateful that my parents really did instill that in me, making sure I got my GCSEs, making sure I set myself up to have the backup plan to go to university. But, you know, football was the dream, you know, I sacrificed a lot to make it to that point, you know, and it's always, you know, every young person's dream to become a footballer, and I was within touching distance of it. So it was almost a loss of identity, you know, you get your family members asking. It's quite a common thing, you know, you go to like these family gatherings.
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
And they're like,
how's the football going?
Yeah.
You see the cost.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's not embarrassing, but it's like, you know, that was your identity for, you know, 18 years growing up. It's like, and that's what people know you for, you know. Growing up, I was very confident because of football and because of sports. So it really did take its toll, you know, mentally. But as I said, I had such a strong foundation, such a strong support system with my family. You know, they've been through thick and thin with me, injuries, decisions, anything that I've ever wanted to do. They've always been there to, you know, pick up the pieces and help me. Never force anything on me. They never forced me to, you know, take the next step. Right, what's next after football? It's like, you know, this is available to, you know, whether it's accounting. There were like a few courses for accounting, whether it's university, whether it's a trade, things like that. So they always kind of give me the option and steered me, but never, you know, forced anything upon me.
And even speaking of that foundation, you're someone that got what, 8 A's and what now?
Sorry, what was that? How many? 8 A's, 3 B's.
8 A's and 3 B's, which is such an accomplishment for someone
Yeah.
who puts so much into their football as
Yeah.
well. How instrumental was your mum in that, in you being able to achieve that?
Oh, I think my parents were a massive, massive part of that. You know, as I said, education is stereotypically is kind of, you know, instilled upon you. You know, your dad or my granddad, for example, he's come over in to make a success of himself. He had to go down the education route, so he kind of really instilled education in
all
you
of
know,
us,
in my aunties and uncles and your
Yeah,
siblings.
sure.
Same on my dad's side as well. You know, he couldn't speak a word of English. He came over at the age of 11, couldn't speak a word of English, and the only thing that he could do was like, you know, really get his head down and graft, and you know, he just happens to take a liking to IT. So he's done really well for himself as well. So the fact that they've, you know, my parents have gone through the education system, it's like proven for them. It's like, it's almost a bit of a surprise that they haven't really said,
Right,
do this,
yeah.
this, but to a certain extent they did. Do you know what I mean?
I think what had happened was when Nassim had his injury, we were very concerned about him, his mental health, because rather than put pressure on him at that point, we didn't want to, you know, cause more harm. So it was gentle persuasion, burst of persuasion, but not force or anything like that. When we found that he was okay, that he was getting over or accepting the fact that he wasn't able to play football, that became a lot easier. And it was only then, when we saw that it was becoming easier for him, then we kind of, you know, gave him ideas. How about this, son? What do you think about that? It's down to you now.
Yeah.
We're only giving advice. You could take it or not, but it was never a pressure at all.
I find it so beautiful that you kind of like, instead of again pushing, which I think culturally for a lot of us, especially where your parents and grandparents have chosen that system of education as the way. I've done it, my dad did it, his dad did it, you too, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
What was the reason that you were like, all right, cool, let me guide my son instead of just tell him what to do with his university life?
I gave him that space because my dad, you know, provided us with a really beautiful learning environment, but he encouraged us.
Okay.
Never forced us at all. He was very supportive. And I think seeing how they treated us was exactly how I wanted my children to grow up, to have that freedom, never forcing them. But I knew that he was always going to do well because he had the potential. It was just a question of nurturing him and supporting him.
So then, Naz, for you, you're in uni now. What factors then contributed to what you studied?
So like I said, at college I studied sports science, so I could only really go on to study sports, health and exercise sciences at university. But again, it was trying to balance that education, but also still trying to play semi-professional football. And this is something I haven't really touched on, but I didn't know that there was a semi-professional route into the professional game. So growing up, I just assumed that, right, you have to be in a professional team, Chelsea, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, whoever it is, to then go on to play in the youth team and then the first team. I didn't realise that, you know, you could do well in semi-professional, so part-time football, and make a name for yourself and then eventually get bought into the league. So I think what I would have really appreciated, or in hindsight, obviously, is having something, you know, like the Open University, where you have the flexible learning. That's something that I would have really appreciated in hindsight. But again, I didn't really know too much about it at the time. So, like I said, like my university experience was obviously, it was incredible. It was a lot of fun. You learned a lot about yourself. And I feel like I kind of needed to go through that experience of just being, you know, like just basically like growing up a little bit.
Of course.
And going, and again, kind of setting myself up for the future where it's like, right, I can have a degree as a backup plan to potentially like, right, I can continue playing semi-professional football, see where I am in like a couple of years' time, but at least now I know that I've got a degree behind me as well, so I'm not wasting more and more time.
For me, it's like the fact that you're literally doing them both at the same time, not having to pick one necessarily over the other. You're literally working just as hard at uni as you are at your personal passion as well.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So what did you do straight after uni?
So straight after university, I actually qualified as a personal trainer, so I was a level 3 personal
geez.
trainer.
You could do everything.
I'm actually a jack of all.
He was
master of
counting
none.
at 4. Like, Love, okay, cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually got a health and wellbeing coaching role as well. So for people with pre-diabetes, so just going through like training programs to change their lifestyle rather than just popping pills. I did building as well. Please, if you're watching this, do not ring my line. Ask me to do any form of building work.
Actually, I've got a roof that
I wouldn't even trust you with that, to be honest.
Call somebody else.
Yeah, just call somebody. That would be my advice. Call somebody.
Mum said,
Call
get someone else
Bob.
to do it.
He's actually pretty reliable, to be fair. So yeah, I literally had like, you know, my fingers in all the pies really. I was supposed to go to Europe, or Spain, Germany, or even Japan as well. But then, yeah, just Love Island came calling and I just thought, yeah, why not?
Before we get into Love Island, Laila, what kind of job did you see Naz doing after the football?
After the football, well, I thought he was going into, you know, like personal training because he had focused on that.
Okay.
And
What job would you have liked him to do?
what I would have liked him to do was get a proper job, actually, but still,
No, you can't.
really.
No, I love it so much.
Really
She said,
so.
yeah, actually, do something serious.
Yeah, stop playing around.
She said, what's all this gym nonsense?
Oh dear. Actually, when the job came up, when it said, you know, treating people with pre-diabetic, I thought, well, that sounds a bit
Nice,
more.
yeah.
That was really quite nice, actually. For me, that was okay. If that's what he wanted to do, that was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But just going to the gym and just pulling, you know.
I don't think my mum knows what a
Muscles
personal
aren't going to
trainer.
pay the bills,
I don't
babe.
think my mum knows what a personal trainer
No,
is.
I'm only kidding. But really, no, at the end of the day, it's his life, you know, where his passion is, he's just going to go for it.
Hey guys, it's Henrie and I'm in the common room with Word on the Curb and the Open University. Now, did you go uni? Did you not? Let's start a conversation in the comments below and make sure you like and subscribe as well. So then how did you end up on Love Island?
That's the $1 million question. So they just sent me a random DM on Instagram and I aired it for about 3 weeks, eventually followed through with it. One thing led to another. I went to one interview. They asked me, why do you want to go on? I said, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not that keen on going on, but you guys have reached out to me.
Yeah.
And if they were the loveliest people I've ever met, like everyone at, you know, that was involved with the show was just so incredible. They were so welcoming. They made me feel really wanted. And I thought, you know what? They've invested a lot into me and they made me feel really wanted. So I thought, yeah, you know what, why not? Like, it would be not even for anything that comes after Love Island, but just like strip away, you know, the followers and the work that comes after it. But the experience itself was one of the most incredible things I've ever done. Prior to going on Love Island even, I only had about 9 posts on social media, wasn't big on it at all. But then coming out to like, you know, almost 500,000 on Instagram and, you know, kind of having to keep up appearances and show face and being a part of the creative industry, it is polar opposite to what I was used to, you know. Like I said, I've grown up in the health and well-being sport industry to now being in like the creative brands, you know, and I honestly, I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And it's one of those things that, I don't know about you, but it wasn't really spoken about in like schools or anything like that. I didn't really know much about, you know.
I mean, I studied media, but...
But was that a uni or was that
That was in sixth form, and then I did broadcast journalism in uni.
Okay.
But then I had that. You see how like you were mad confident? Oh my gosh, I see footballers, I'm gonna be a footballer.
Yeah.
I would see someone on TV and not know that I could actually do that as well. I would just enjoy it and then kind of separate myself from the lifestyle.
Yeah,
You get it?
for sure.
But it was only after, I guess, like way after uni, because even in uni, like they'd actually make us like read the news like this and I'd be shaking.
Oh, really?
Fully, again.
You're doing a wicked job now, to be
No, thank
fair.
oh, babe. He can stay, by the way.
You can keep him.
So then I want to ask, Laila, did you always know that Naz was going to be famous?
Yes, we did actually, but how we didn't know.
We didn't.
But,
You just had a gut
at
feeling.
some point, we did actually have a gut feeling. I mean, his sister was always saying, Naz, you should be on stage, you're so funny.
Right.
And so that kind of put the seed, and that seed just grew.
But you're a little bit famous as well, babe, because you were on After Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah, you know, the hair flick. Yeah, come on,
course.
girl.
Yeah, my 2 minutes of fame.
What was that like for you?
It was surreal, actually. I mean, when we were asked to go to the After Sun studios, I thought, is this real? So anyway, we got down there, my daughter and I, and Nassim's best friend as well. So the three of us literally got the taxi came for us, and it was just that lovely, lovely feeling. Everybody was just so supportive and really caring, and it was wonderful, a really lovely experience and everything.
Getting that 5-star treatment.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
She was
All the
incredible
makeup.
as well. So I remember
Just doing the makeup.
watching it after. So I came out and one of the messages I saw was, "Oh yeah, by the way, Mum was on." Well, I think Yazzie might as well. My sister told me, "Mum was on." I said, "Hold on a minute." So they played the clip back, and I was just bursting with pride as well. I was just like, "Oh my God, you were incredible, Mum." You know, like when they're so she was so eloquent and she was so concise, and I was just like. Nothing like she's been today. no, I'm joking. But no, she was just brilliant. Like, just her brilliant self.
And, of course, you found love in life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can't believe I haven't mentioned that.
Are you and Eva still an item?
We are going so strong, honestly. Like, that's the love of my life. And it's not even you heard it first, because people heard it before. We're definitely going to get married at some point in the near future.
Love is so sweet, honestly.
Honestly, it's... And, again, kind of touching on, like, you know, the way I've been brought up as well, it's always been, you know, just live life with love in your heart and have love for, like, everyone around you. So going on the show, you know, people are like, oh, did you have a game plan? Did you have this? It's just like, you know what, just take things as they come. Yeah. And it would have been very easy for me to coast to the final or to get further in the process. Could have been quite easy for me to coast. But I thought, I know I'm making a controversial decision by picking Eva here. I know it's not going to go down too well. Like with the public and whatnot, but this is what I want to do. I don't want to live a life of regrets. And obviously 3 years down the line,
come on,
like this, there you go.
Give him marriage, babe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we recently moved in together in November, so we've been living together for like past 3 or 4 months, and it's like she is my best friend, you know, my soulmate, and all of those things under the sun. So yeah, like honestly, I couldn't be happier with how everything's panned out.
So even like under the sun, it's given pun. Like, I just love it. Okay.
Also, I feel very soppy at the moment.
That is
like,
so cute.
Like I should rein it back in.
It is
Try
cute.
like a bad man again.
Try not to cry. Let's like head back to uni and education.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd actually change about your educational life?
In hindsight, again, I think at the time I was pursuing the dream of playing football, so I think it would have been nice to have known more about, you know, the flexible learning, kind of, you know, having the option to do the lectures in and around football, if that makes sense. So I think in hindsight, yes.
And how about for you, Laila? Is there anything that you would change about maybe some of his educational decisions?
It's hard, really, because it was down to him. I mean, we were just supporting him. We're kind of glad in a way that he did go to university because, you know, he came up with amazing result. And
oh yeah, I got a first, actually.
Oh, well done. You actually are smart.
Yeah, so I got a first, and I got physiological undergraduate awards, like the best in my year.
Oh my days! Right now, what's 27 plus 53?
Huh? 80.
Oh my days, that was so
Okay, wait, someone double check that. Because everyone's looking at me like, is it?
I think it actually might be 87, 53. I think it actually might be. That was quick. Yeah. I can't do maths to save my life. Ask me a question right now.
Like 4 squared.
What? That's four times or 4 twice?
4 times
8.
4.
Lies, 16. I knew that. 16 is the answer, all right? Tough. All right, let me get into my last questions, yeah? So what advice, Naz, would you give to anyone who wants to study as well as following their passion at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to research your options first and foremost. I kind of just dived straight into the first thing that was available to me. So definitely researching your options, that's a big one. Because, you know, there's the opportunity to do flexible learning, for example, you know. So in hindsight, it would have been nice for me to have been able to juggle, you know, the passion, which is football, around the flexible and distance learning that, you know, that is now available as well. So, yeah, I think those are the 2 big ones. Just make sure you research what you're doing.
Know your stuff, do your Googles. Okay. Laila, for you as well, what advice would you give to a parent who has a child who wants to, like, pursue a career path that might not always be that stable?
Yeah, as a parent, you want the best for your children. We all want the best for our children. And you've got to look to your children and see what they want to do because that will be their future career. And if they're not happy with that, then, you know, we can't impose our own ideas on our children. We can give them advice, of course you can, but at the end of the day, it's their life and they've got to make that decision.
I know that's right. Purr. No, thank you guys so much for joining me. This was so much fun. I have been in the common room with Naz and Laila, everybody.
Woo! So, from the very beginning, I was creative and I knew this is what I wanted to do. Basically, I was rebellious. Like, in a nutshell, I was rebellious. I was selling jollof rice in school, and that was my hustle to get some equipment.
Who was making the jollof rice?
No comment. I will not. I prefer not to speak.